So today I'm going to be counting down my favorite books that I read of 2021 because it's July and we're officially halfway done with the year. So I'm going to be reading them and just telling you why they rank this way. And I don't really do tags. I'll do tags if somebody tags me, but I just don't do random tags. That's just not what I do. So I'm just kind of like doing a ranking, a top 10, and then at the end of the year I'll do a top 10 as well. We'll see which books stayed on and which books like kind of fell off the list. And yeah, so that's basically what's gonna happen. So number 10 is a big book. It's actually the biggest book on my list. It's Rhythm of War. This is one of the newer releases I've read. No, it's not the newest release I read in 2020. That's Light of the Jedi. But Rhythm of War, it's like 1,200 pages, I'm pretty sure. But it really, really did step out from Oathbringer. I think it's still a Sanderson book. Its writing is epic. It makes just on this epic grand scale. You're learning more about this world. You're learning from a new perspective, a Shawnee. But what I did not like about this book, which made it number 10 and not number 1, basically was we didn't get to really know Shawnee in present, unlike the other ones, and it was kind of went in more. I wish it went into like another main character, like Adolin, or like Navani, someone we need to know the backstory of. So I kind of wish it did that instead of Shawnee, but I get it. It's waiting for book 5, so I do think it's really, really good. It's just that little pet peeve I had with it, but other than that, it was a very, very good book. And another book is a book that grew on me a lot. And yeah, I gave it a good review, but I think other than that, it really just like grew on me. Is The Martian by Andy Weir. This is one I read earlier in the year. I read it in January. And I liked it. I thought it was cool. But after that, kind of just started growing on me. And then just how the story went and just everything went really, really well for me, and I really, really did like it. I want to do a re-review for this because I wasn't really nice enough to it. I gave it better on my book versus movie, but it was a very, very good book, and I definitely recommend you reading it. It's basically about this guy who gets stranded on Mars. He uses science to survive. It's a very science-heavy fiction book. If you like science and you're science fiction, this is where to go. It's very basic. It's almost like dystopian because it's set it's not high sci-fi. It's not like a Dune. But I did really, really love this book. It was really one of my favorites of the year. Number 9. My favorites of the year. Book I did not expect to like as much as I did. I don't know, I weirdly love this book, and I don't know, it's strange. But God Emperor of Doom, it was creepy. Because Duke Leto is half 50% sandworm. And it's creepy, but I could not put it down. It's impossible to put this book down. It was really, really good. It was basically it's so different. I love the new Dune concept of it. I thought I was gonna, after the first 3, I'm like, all right, I'm done with Dune. Goodbye, peace. But then I read the concept. It's even the concept, that Dune's no longer Dune, and that's the same thing happened with Heretics of Dune. I just bought Heretics of Dune yesterday, mainly because I read the back of the book, and now I'm into it, But it's basically so far it's like a millennia. That's what it says. Has passed on Arrakis since Children of Dune, and Duke Leto is kind of your bridge. But this was a great book. I don't know why I loved it. I gave it a 5-star review. If you want to watch that, you can watch it there. And the next book I read, which is the first of 3 Wheel of Time books I have on this list, is Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan. I really, really love this book. I was shell-shocked during my review. One of my regrets for that review is super in-depth. It's super in-depth. It's a 20-minute review. But I was just I had just finished it, and I was riding on the high of what just happened at the end. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's a major, major spoiler. But I do think this is Wheel of Time. Is one of Ad's best, and I really, really like this book. Fires of Heaven. It was a great, great cap off. It was a great, great book, and I'm so happy, and I was so excited to read Lord of Chaos, which Lord of Chaos even blew me away more. So Yep, I'm not going to say much about this because it's in a series, and it's number 5 in a series, and there's more. I have more books that I'm going to rank here. But Fires of Heaven was a great read for me. Next book is a book I really loved, and I don't know why, but nostalgia killed me on this one. But Heir to the Empire, I really loved this book, and if you haven't read the Thrawn trilogy, please do so. This is a great way to get into more Star Wars, and I love the content I made on this, and I was really proud of just how this went, and I couldn't stop reading this. And basically it's about Luke, Leia, Han, CP3O, R2D2. They just kind of, their story continues while Darth Vader's dead, and yeah, they fight Thrawn, which is the new villain. You can see him on the page, and I just think it's awesome because he's not just like a fighter. He's a military mastermind, and that's what they're dealing with. And Timothy Zahn, he writes great military fantasy. You should definitely go read all of his works. I've not read other than the Thrawn trilogy, but I do hear that it's very good. And this is really a great book, and it's my favorite Legends book so far. The trilogy did not disappoint either. The rest of the trilogy does not disappoint either, and I just think it's a great way to start reading. And there's new characters, but there's a lot of old characters, and I think it's handled very well. So, yep, Heir to the Empire is number... Wait. This is number 6. So, number 5 is another Wheel of Time book. Oh, you can tell I like Wheel of Time. And that's The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan. I feel like the longer the Wheel of Time book is, like the awesomeness of how book it is as well. Like usually the shorter books, Path of Daggers, but are not as well done. But the longer books really well done. I don't know if that's like a recurring theme, but this is an amazing book. It's huge, but I really loved what it did with Matt, and just basically like how it showed the Aiel, and it just so much world building. Again, Rand grows a lot in this book, and I love it when Rand grows, because, he's like, if you read Eye of the World, he's not the Rand, he's not the King Rand, I know when I'm in the middle of Path of Daggers, but, it's just, he has a lot of growth in this book. So does Matt, and Perrin, I think this is the last one, Perrin was in, I was mad when Perrin was not in Fires of Heaven, but he does have a great arc in here. At the end of this book, was this the end of the book where he married Aiel? I don't know. Probably this book. I don't know which book in which but anymore. But it was a very great book, and it's huge, and it's just it's amazing. This is what got me on. I know a lot of people say get to book 4 and you're hooked. Yeah, I was hooked earlier, but this is the one I was like, I'm gonna finish the series for sure. And now I'm pushing through this terrible thing of a book, and just because I've read so great books from Robert Jordan. That's the only reason I'm pushing through Path of Daggers, and you're in for a rant review there, so I'm gonna get pretty mad in that one. And the last one, and I think this is the 4th one on my list. This is Before They're Hanged, but I'm ranking Last Argument of Kings because I don't own Last Argument of Kings, so this is Last Argument of Kings. But Last Argument of Kings was a very great end to this trilogy, and I loved just how amazing everything turned out, and I love just how the first law turned out. And as a whole, a lot of people have different a lot of people like Before They're Hanged the best. I loved this one the best. Last Argument of Kings, dude. I thought it was so great. Because everything goes around so perfectly. The fight that Logan has with, I think, when he becomes King of the Northmen is the best fight of fantasy I've ever read. It's just so epic, and it's treated so well, and I don't know how. He writes action and characters so well. He's so deep into characters while not being, hyper on plot focus. He has a really in-depth plot. Yeah, he's so into characters like Sandang, Glokta, Logan, Nine Fingers, the Dogman, so many great characters from this book, while being ingested in the plot, which one problem I have with Murderbot, had great characters, had super hyper-focused characters. But the plot was just like they had this mission. So that's what I didn't love about Murderbot, and I did love about Before They're Hanged because it's super character hyper-focused. And the third book I have here is a Stormlight book, Words of Radiance. This is the second book in the Stormlight archive, and I really loved it. It was like one of my favorite. It's actually my favorite Stormlight book other than Way of Kings, but Way of Kings I didn't read in 2020. I read in 2020 Way of Kings, so I didn't get to really say this, but Words of Radiance is an amazing book. I love the Stormlight book so much. It's just hard to even say like how much this changed the series for me, and Kaladin just becoming like not a bridgeman, not even a slave anymore. He's being a guard to Dalinar in this book, and he has a lot of character growth. In this backstory, we go back into Shallan's backstory, and I think she has the most tragic backstory out of all of them so far, in my opinion. But it's really, really awesome to see where she came from, and it's awesome to see just another perspective of how King Gavilar died, and a lot of this, like, whenever they fell into the chasm, whenever Kaladin and Shallan fell into the chasm in this book, it really, really was epic, and I couldn't put it down. I remember I was camping, and I just, like, was in my tent reading this so quickly, and it was so hard to put this book down. This is, I think, as hard as, and I think I did a lot for the series. Like, I was like, okay, this is a great series. Way of Kings, a great start-off book. It was like, wow, that's the best book. It was a great book in general. It was actually the second place on my all favorites for 2020. So it was like a great book, and then this is like not as good as Way of Kings, but I'm like, this series is gonna be one of my favorite series, and it still is. So yeah, Words of Radiance, an amazing, amazing book. And if you have not read Stormlight Archive, please do so. I just did a Why You Should Read on it recently, and it's so worth it. It will rock you. And that was an amazing, amazing book, and I just think it's just so great that there's books like these. But the next one is another Wheel of Time book. Can you guess what it is? My favorite Wheel of Time book, Lord of Chaos, so far. This was awesome. I loved this book. It was kind of resemblance to Crown of Swords, very, very interesting. I liked Crown of Swords for some reason. I don't know why. But Lord of Chaos, the ending though, I want to spoil it, but I'm not. The ending rocked this book. It was awesome, and the Perrin, Matt, and Bran, they were all great in this book. I think Egwene becoming Armelin is an amazing spot in this book, and her dealing with that. And what I do not like about Path of Daggers, I'm sorry, I'm going to rant about Path of Daggers, but I do not like it's just them. I don't know, I'm only like 200 pages in, and it's just Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine. No, not even Egwene, it's just Nynaeve and Elaine and Avienda doing some not wise one, doing some just like Aes Sedai stuff that nobody cares about. That's one, and there's not Rand, Perrin, and Matt. Like, I like the balance. But this thing has an amazing balance of just Aes Sedai, world building, and just Rand, Perrin, and Matt action and fun. And, like, Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene have a lot of action and fun, too, with Tom. And I just think it's such an amazing way to read a book. And it's huge, it's massive, but I love how they make this series, which is really revolved on one plot, just like drag out so long and well. Like, it's because they're not having an individual, like, oh, we need to face. It's not like Dresden, oh, we need to face this in this book, and then it's not one big thing move the storyline, but this one is, and it's really moving it really, really, really well. And I've mentioned that this was my favorite book of the year so far. I don't know if you can guess what it is. You can probably guess what it is. It is Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This was an amazing book. I don't know if you heard my rave review on it. You might want to check it out. I think it's one of my better reviews. But I really, really loved Rage of Dragons. And a lot of this plot revolves around spoilers, so I can't really talk much about it. I do talk spoilers in my review if you want to check it out. But basically, this revolves around a guy named Tao, and he's mad and angry for reasons I cannot disclose here because it's a spoiler. But he's mad and is very one-dimensionally angry. If you don't like that, it might not be the book for you. That's what about Fires of Vengeance. Like it's a little bit more calm, cool, and collective, even though he's angry, very angry. But I still love for Fires of Vengeance. I'm putting it down for a little bit so I can, well, because July started, I need to read Path of Daggers. But this is amazing. Like it's so one-dimensionally angry, but he works for everything he gets. I love this one-dimensionally angry because it's just a very great way of telling a story, in my opinion. Just being so angry for one reason, and he works for everything. Like, he will break bones in this, and he'll keep working. Like, he does not just get what he wants because he wants it. He works. There's a lot of training scenes, and because he needs it. He needs training to be good at what he does. And it's a very, very good mix of a personal story while also having a big, wider range story. It's like First Law is very personal, character based, and like he fights with his hands, not with magic. But it also has a huge storyline of like bigger world. So I think it's a great mix of like, I would say First Law and Stormlight. Because I'm a very personal, gritty fantasy story, First Law, in a very big world and like a very fleshed out world, Stormlight Archive. And I think those are like two and very wise. And they both those two I just mentioned have great characters, and these have great characters. So yeah, this is why I loved The Rage of Dragons, which is currently sitting on number 1. I don't know how this list will change through just my list for 2021 in general, but that's it right now. If you didn't know, it's currently Rhythm of War, Martian, God Emperor of Dune, Fires of Heaven, Heir to the Empire, Shadow Rising, Last Argument of Kings, Words of Radiance, Lord of Chaos, and Rage of Dragons is my list. So, yep, that's basically the list for that. And I'm sorry this was a longer video, but I just gotta rank down every year, and I'm doing a halfway, just so I can look back on this at the end of the year. So, yeah. So, yeah, that was my list. So, see you in the next video.